Hey everyone, welcome to part 3 out of 6 of my Use ZBLL series. In this video, I'm going to be covering over the set U3, I guess, and in this case, you can recognize them by noticing that these two colors are the same, and these two colors are the same. So here's the first case. You'll pretty much notice that you just have this giant solved block around the front right of the cube. You can also notice it as the only unsolved edges are the ones in the back left. And so here's the algebra do. The alg is pretty long, but it's actually really easy. All it is just doing r prime, and then a y perm, and then r. As for finger tricks, I like to start with a regrip here, and then for the y perm, I usually like to pinch with my right index for the f moves. And then here for the u primes, I like to do the first u prime with my index, and then the next one with my middle. And then here, pinch again, and then this f prime, I like to use my right thumb, and then this other f prime, I like to either use my thumb again or my left index, and then arm move. And so here it is a little faster. This next case is the mirror of the previous one. And so pretty much, once again, you have this solved block, but it's kind of around the front left of the cube. And you can also notice it as the swapped edges are in the back right of the cube. And so the alg you do is from a u prime angle with the headlights onto the left. Breaking it down, all it is just doing an F move, and then a Y perm, and then undoing that F move. And you can notice that some of the moves cancel there. And so for execution, I like to start by doing just an F2 from here. This is kind of awkward, but I like to do this F2, and then I regrip, and then I kind of do most of a Y perm. And then for the last F2, this is interesting. Pretty much for this last F2, I like to do an F prime, F prime. So the first F prime with my right thumb, and then next with my left index. And so the F2 finger trick becomes like this. And so faster, it would look like this. I'll do that one more time. Here's the next case. And so pretty much you have just this bar in the front, and you have also this horizontal swap of edges here. And so here you put the headlights on the left and do this alg. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a really easy way to memorize this. So you just start by doing an R2 F prime, and then there's a sexy move here, but then the rest is not very intuitive. Like, I guess you could just like solve this block, and then yeah, I don't think there's really any way to memorize to learn this other than just memorizing it. So yeah. As for finger tricks, I start with a regrip for this R2 prime, and then I use my left index for this F prime, just a sexy move here, and then I regrip again here. And then I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory. I think this R2 is a little interesting. I like to try to R2, but kind of soft regrip. And then I just finish it off there. Faster would look like this. This next case, you can kind of notice it by seeing sort of this opposite pattern here, orange, red, orange, and also these two bars on either side. It also looks just like a T perm, if you like to recognize it that way. Here's the alg you do. You're going to do a U move. Breaking it down, pretty much you just do R prime U, and then you pretty much just do a J perm up until the last few moves. And I think once you solve this pair, the rest of it becomes a little weird, but you just do a U2 R, and then you just solve this pair with R prime U2 R. And so for finger tricks, I don't think there's too much to note. I like to start with the regrip, and then this is just like a regular J perm with like a pinch move here and a thumb F prime here. And then the rest is pretty self-explanatory. And so faster it look like this. For this next case, you can recognize it by noticing this singular bar on the left side of the cube here. It also reminds me a lot of just like an RB perm here. You can see there's a lot of resemblance here, and so if you like to recognize it like that, that's another way. And so here's the alg you do from this angle. It's a pretty wacky algorithm, but it's actually pretty fast. And so you start out by doing, I guess, kind of a wide LR, or just like R2 rotate. And then you're going to do a U2, R prime U2. And then here you just do a sledge. And then you solve the rest pretty intuitively by just inserting this pair and then finishing it off. For finger tricks, I would just, I think just doing a double flick here. With the sledgehammer, I like to use my index fingers for the F moves. And then from here, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a little awkward, but it just takes some getting used to. And here it is a little faster. This next case is precisely the mirror of the last one. And so here you have a bar on the right side of the cube. You could also recognize it as an RA perm. This is how I like to do it. And so here's the alg you do. Breaking it down, pretty much you just do sort of an L2 prime up here, and then U2, L, U2, and then you just do a lefty sledge. And then here you just solve the rest intuitively by just inserting this pair and then finishing it off. And so the finger tricks and the memorization is just the same thing as the last dog, but mirrored. And so faster it would look like this. Here's the next case. Personally, I like to recognize it by noticing this little H-perm pattern kind of across the front left of the cube. Here it is for comparison. Here's the alg you do. Breaking it down, you're pretty much just doing a fat, sexy sledge OLL alg, and it cancels into this ZBLL, which I haven't covered in a previous video, but the way it works is just doing F, inserting this pair, and then U prime, and then inserting this edge kind of into this slot, and just finishing it off. And so for finger tricks, I would use my right index for this U move, and then I think from here, I don't think there's much, just doing a double flick for that U2, and then, yeah, here it is a little faster. For this next case, this is the mirror of the last one. You have this H-perm pattern once again, but it's more so in the front right of the cube, and here it is for comparison. And this is the alg you do from this angle. Breaking it down, this is actually, the first half of the alg is actually just like, if you know this R perm alg from this angle, it's just doing that first half of the alg. If you don't know it, it's just R2, R2 prime F, and then RU, RU prime, R prime, F prime R. And then from here it's just doing a winter variation, which is just doing a U prime, and then R2 D prime, RU R prime D R2. And so for finger tricks, I would suggest starting with the regrip here, and then for this F move, I use my index here, and then for this F prime, I use my right thumb, and then for the D primes, for the D moves, I just use my left ring finger here. And here it is a little faster. For the next two cases, I unfortunately don't have a very great way to recognize them, but I kind of see a sort of Z-perm pattern along the front left of the cube. Here it is for comparison. Hopefully you see that resemblance there. And so here's the alg you do. You're going to do a U move. Breaking it down, you pretty much just start by doing, let's set this up. It's this TZBLL, which I have shown you in a previous video during my TZBLL series. So it's just that canceled into this OLL. And so just like this. For finger tricks, I would use my thumb for this F prime, double flick for this U2 prime, and then I think everything else is pretty self-explanatory. And so here it is a little faster. So this case is the mirror of the last one. Once again, we have sort of a Z-perm pattern, but it's more on the right side of the cube, the front right. Here it is for comparison. This is the alg you do. You do a U prime, and the alg is just the mirror of the last one. Since it's just the mirror, I would say that there's nothing really new to know about memorizing or executing the alg, and so yeah, here it is a little faster. Here's the next case, and so I like to recognize it by seeing it's sort of like an O perm on 4x4 square 1. Specifically, you can notice that you just have like all the edges are actually solved relative to each other, but they pretty much just need to be cycled around the cube. And so in this case, you can notice that this green edge needs to go to the right. And so when you have this edge having to go to the right, this is the you do from this angle. Breaking it down, we start by just taking out this pair with r prime, u prime, r. And then we do an f. And then from here, it's sort of like a winter variation, but you just do r2, d prime, ru r prime, d r2, and then you just undo. And so for execution, I think this f move you pinch here, and then here I would rotate for the r2 prime, unfortunately, but I think that's the only way to do it. And then using your left ring finger for your d moves. And then for this last f prime, I like to use my right ring finger here, like this. Here it is a little faster. Here's the final case. It's the mirror of the previous one. And so once again, we have sort of like an O-perm pattern where the edges need to cycle around. And in this case, they have to cycle around clockwise, or specifically this edge has to go to the left. And so here's the algae do. It's the same angle, headlights on the left. Breaking it down, you just start by doing an FU, and then R2 prime D prime, RU prime R prime, and then D R2, and then here you just solve the rest with F prime and then back insert. For memorization, or sorry, for execution, I would use my thumb here for the F, and then U, and then regrip, and then my left ring finger for the D moves. For this F prime, I like to use my right ring finger here, and then just insert into the back. And so faster it would look like this. That wraps it up for part 3 of my ZBLL series. As always, hopefully you guys found this video to be helpful, and if there's anything I can clarify, I'd be happy to do so. Just leave a comment. And so, yeah, thanks for watching, guys.